I'm only elitely good at two things: teaching guitar and choosing to live in cities that are constantly evacuated due to natural disasters. But today we're talking about guitar. We're talking about the key of E major and how you can use it to really fulfill all your guitar fretboard fantasies. All right, so why is the key of E the official key of 2025, which is also the official year that I am hiding out in my friend Side's house in Las Vegas, waiting for the air to be breathable again in Los Angeles. So, E major, open, 2, 2, 1, open. Beautiful chord, nice and open. Why this is really one of the most invaluable things you can learn is because of the way that the guitar strings are laid out to really help you understand the fretboard, all right? So there's gonna be minimal music theory here that is gonna help you understand beyond your wildest dreams how this fretboard works, all right? Major scale, we can spell it with intervals, wholes, and half steps, right? Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. It's a mouthful for sure. Think it 2 holes, a half step, 3 holes, and a half step, right? So if we were to do that on one string, it would be open, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. So, interval speed could be whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. It's great if you know the names of the notes: E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. Not necessary, because a lot of this is going to be movable. The intervals are what is super, super important here. And the way that this is going to tie into this lesson is just by altering one part of this intervallic formula. How fancy is that? Intervallic formula. Tell your friends, they'll think you're super, super smart. By altering one part of this, you can actually get so much more of the fretboard unlocked, okay? So, first of all, let's commit this to memory. Beautiful thing about standard tune guitar is low E string, high E string. They're both E's. So, I'm just gonna pick both of them on the outside. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Open, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, okay? Now, again, I think what's really cool about this is, especially if you have inlays on the odd numbered frets, they can really help you out, because once you kind of break it in half, open, 2, 4, 5, you can remember that, right? That could just be your bank code. It's just 4 numbers, open, 2, 4, 5. That'll get you all the way into the meat of the guitar, and then you get that run of 3 half steps in a row, right? Open, 2, 4, 5, and then half step, or 3 whole steps in a row, then a half step. Don't worry about that. That's just a hideous dog breathing right into the microphone. Not hideous, super cute, totally. Oh, now is it gonna make an appearance? You gonna? Yeah, totally cute dog. Yeah, this is the price you pay. Okay, great, all right. Whole half. Now that you've got that committed to memory, this is where it gets super, super interesting, okay? The A string is right after the low E string, okay? The guitar is tuned to fourths. So what that means is the next string higher than the previous string, with the exception of the B string, don't worry about it, is gonna be a fourth away. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, right? That's why the 5th fret is kind of how I learned how to tune my guitar, because I didn't have an actual tuner or a good ear. I would just out of tune my guitar to the 5th fret. I'd be like, all right, E, 5 on the E string is A, 5 on the A string is D, right? And then until the B string. You can kind of do that pattern, right? Guitar is an instrument of patterns. The formula to make the major scale can also be a pattern, right? The beautiful thing about this tuning and the key of E specifically is the 4th is really, really easy to remember in interval fashion, right? So what that means is, if you've ever heard the term modes, which is very confusing to a lot of people, don't worry about modes. We're not gonna get super into modes, other than just A being a very important character in the key of E. A is a major chord in the key of E. In fact, it is so similar as the 4th chord in the key of E that we can play that same pattern just with one variation. If we play the notes in the key of E, but start on A, we end up with this. Did you see how that was different? There's only one place that's different. It's whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half. Okay, so all you have to remember is open, 2, 4, 6. That right there, that interval, the distance between the 4th and the 5th is how it's different, right? We would say that A has a sharp 4 in relation to E. This would be the Lydian mode, if you've ever heard of that. The Lydian mode is the exact same thing as the major scale, just with a sharp 4. This is a great example of how that works. No better example can be had than playing them both at the same time, right? I think that's a great way to understand how they are in relation to each other, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the E major scale, and then the A Lydian mode. And again, that sounds fancy, but it's really not that bad. The only thing that changes is the A Lydian has the 6th fret instead of the 5th fret. So if we play them together, it's open and open, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, or 4 and 4, then 5 and 6, 7 and 7, 9 and 9, 11, 11, 12. Okay? So what's cool about this is you can maybe incorporate everything that you do just with that one variation, knowing that this is different, into your playing. Okay, I've been doing a lot of talking so far, not a lot of playing. Here's a great example of what we could do, right? Let's take maybe 2 different E major chord voicings. We'll take an E major traditional, and then put my favorite one right here, this E major 7, where it's open E, 7A, 6D, 8G. I love that chord voicing. Maybe I want to just vamp on an E instead of just kind of just staying here, static the whole time, or staying here. Maybe I can use what I know about the A string right there. Open 2, 4, 6, 7. If I want to use octaves, like that. All I'm doing is I'm just using what I think of when I think of the intervals between the E major scale and the A Lydian mode. You can even think of it as the A major scale with a variation. That doesn't really change how we practically play or use it, but it really opens up just a lot of kind of different pathways and stuff, especially, like I said, when you use octaves like that, where it's maybe I'm holding down the 2nd fret on the A string and then the 4th fret on the G string. So then I can play that whole and then incorporate that into maybe my chords, stuff like that. But really, the main difference is just that right there. Maybe one clear picture that you could use for something like this is playing the E major scale, just starting here and then ending on the A string like that. So E, 2, 4, A, 2, 4, 6, 7. That's something I don't see a lot of people kind of do, but if they take it from E, I think it's kind of like a very smooth sounding way to get from one chord voicing to another chord voicing. Now, again, I said that the key of E really suits itself to standard tuning on a guitar because arguably the 3 most important chords in any key are the 1, 4, and the 5, right? So if E is 1, F sharp, G sharp, A is 4, what's 5? It's just what is the whole step from A? B. B also happens to be an open string in the key of E, right? So now let's look how E and B are in relation to each other in the exact same way. This, I think, has more practicality if you're doing like maybe guitar solos or something, because again, remember I said a guitar is tuned to 4ths, right? And the nice thing about that is like, okay, well there's B and there's E, right? B, C, D, E, there's a 4th away. Now, if I go the opposite direction, one thing that's interesting about music is if you go a 4th higher, you can also go like a 5th back and it's the same thing, right? So the relationship of E to B, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, that's a 5th, okay? Now, this is a lot of confusing talk. If you guys are confused by this, I break this down on my Patreon in a very sequential way, where I kind of go through a little bit slower. But the nice thing about not thinking too hard on the music theory, but having this be practical is like, all right, we know that open E string, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. We already did that, right? We know open 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. Well, what is B's role here? If I were to spell this out, how is E most like B in the same key? If I want to play the notes in the key of E, starting on a B, I do the exact same thing. The only thing that's different is the interval between the 6th and the 7th degree, okay? So B has a flat 7 or a minor 7. That's why if you were to play B's chord as an extended chord in the key of E, you would end up with a B7. Okay? So how that plays out on the guitar is like this. I just start with B, I go whole, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, okay? Again, if we go just backwards, I think the easiest way to get through a 7, whether it be a major 7 or a minor 7, you take a root note, and then if it's a major 7, you go back 1 fret, half step. If it's a minor 7 or flat 7, you go back 2 frets. So again, E and B have an identical pathway to get to the octave, with the exception of this note right here. So if I play them together, all right, so I think this is super, super valuable to do. There's really cool exercises you can do with this. Maybe even just take like 3 notes per string at a time. So again, I'll do that one more time. Open and open, 2 and 2, 4 and 4, 5 and 5, 7 and 7, 9 and 9, 10 and 11, 12 and 12. If I were to do these 3 notes a string, you would really see the symmetry here. Going forward and back is a great way to kind of practice your dexterity and your picking. It's really, really easy because it's so symmetrical, right? So if we go 3 notes a string, B and D at the same time. We go open 2, 4, open 2, 4, okay? Now what's cool about that is you can kind of like rifle through these super fast because you can do double hammer-ons or pull-offs or something like that. I'm gonna pick all these notes at first, then maybe we can do something a little faster afterwards. But basically, if I just go through 1 3 note per string at a time, and then advance 1 position up, I go open 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, 9, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 11. So again, everything is the same except for the very end. Or you can get rid of that little kind of incongruent part at the very beginning if you go backwards. And then now I'm symmetrical all the way back. So that is something that I think is a really, really great exercise because you practice your picking, you practice your mind's eye seeing the intervals laid out all the way through here, and it's a symmetrical shape with 1 variation that you just have to account for, and you can do it in totally different ways. Again, I don't even have to have an open string to start here. Anytime we go a 5th this way, we can do the same thing. So if we were to find a different example of this, let's say maybe let's do E being the 2nd fret on the D string, and then knowing that his 5th is below here, right? Here's a E, and here's a B. 2D and 2B, or 2A, which is a B, right? So now I can go, I know that these are the same, and then I go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. In B's case, we have the exact same thing, but that flat 7. So you can do the exact same thing, and then they kind of split off there, and then do that. And again, these patterns where you can kind of see 2 notes at a time, I think is almost like a hack, like a way to cheat doing things, because you're really moving through 1 kind of action at the same time, but you're doing 2 different modes, 2 different strings, 2 different frets. And once you kind of get that under your fingers and you can see it in your mind, that'll really manifest itself in your guitar playing in all sorts of creative ways, right? I could spend hours and hours doing this, keeping Sides awake as she doom scrolls through TikTok to see what terrible damage has become to the world. But I won't keep you up. That looks bad. Looks really bad. But you don't have to do that. You can have fun practicing guitar because now you know some super... What's that? Ignorance is bliss? Yeah, there we go. Which, in a way, my viewers are much less blissful because they're so much less ignorant from watching these videos. Am I right? Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see where the next video even comes from. Who knows where I'll be. But if you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section of the website. Join the Patreon if you're fancy. And I'll talk to you all soon.
Hopefully your house did not burn down.
And hopefully my house didn't burn down. But yeah, we'll keep you all updated. Any final words you want to say? You want to... Oh, you just want to wave? That's it? All right. See ya.